Hey you guys, it's Crystal Lopez here from crystalandcomp.com, and I'm going to show you how to take leftover mashed potatoes and some pantry staples, and we are going to make fried potato cakes that your family's going to love. They're not even going to realize that you've used leftovers to do this. If you are looking for ways to stretch your dollar right now because things are so crazy at the grocery store, this is the perfect solution. This is actually going to be a leftover night where I am cleaning out the fridge with all kinds of leftovers. And these potato cakes are just a tiny piece of what we're doing. So I'm going to put my apron on because I paid $9 for it and I need to wear it, and because I'm tired of grease splattering up on my clothes. So we're going to take those leftover mashed potatoes. I don't know, that's probably 3 cups, maybe 4 cups. You're basically going to do a ratio of, you want the potatoes, then you need the eggs to bind it. You want the cheese for some added flavor and gooiness that also helps things combine. And you need flour. So the flour is going to help it all stick together with the eggs, right? So I don't know. That's like 4 cups of potatoes to 2 eggs to about a cup of, it's literally in that teal container is just whatever leftover shredded cheese I had. I'm washing my hands in between, guys, but I'm not like leaving that in the recording because you probably don't care to see me wash my hands. But if you see me always drying my hands on that towel or on a towel, it's because I'm washing my hands. I'm kind of a freak about it. Anyway, not a freak, but you know, like I do it a lot whenever I'm cooking because I don't want to get people sick or myself sick. So do go ahead and whisk up or, you know, kind of beat the eggs before you add them to the mashed potatoes, because that's going to make it easier for them to combine really well and for all of this to mix together really well. So we have about 4 cups of potatoes, 2 eggs, whatever I have that's grated cheese in that teal turquoise bowl, probably a cup worth. And it's cheddar cheese. You could really use whatever. I bet Parmesan cheese would be really good in this, and it would give it a real salty, nutty flavor. And then I end up using about a cup, a little under a cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup of flour, because I do end up adding more flour to it. So we just want enough of all of this so that these patties, when we're making them, we're going to make them in our hand like a hamburger patty. And we don't want them to be sticky and stick to our hand. And we want them to be firm enough that they stick together and don't fall apart in the pan, right? So you can't mess this up, honestly. Start with a little bit of flour and keep adding until you have enough. You could also cut up some garlic and some onion and add them in, or a leek if you have a leek. Or you could leave it just like this. I do end up putting in some garlic powder. You could do onion powder too. You make these as simple or as elevated and ultimate as you want them. All right. So there's the cheese that's left over from like a taco night or something. We're just going to dump that in there. I am literally cleaning out my refrigerator. I've got leftovers from throughout the week that I don't want thrown in the trash, and I want to make sure that we make the best use of them possible. So this was one great way to do it. We're going to cook some leftover, or heat up some leftover pasta as well. And you may be thinking, oh man, that's a lot of starch. It is a lot of starch, but you don't have to eat the pasta and the potato cakes. I've got some leftover chicken as well. You'll see how it all comes together. And everybody just it's a smorgasbord, and everybody gets to pick what they want, right? I think we also still had some leftover watermelon in the fridge. Get a little bit of that. Get some fresh fruit to go with it, whatever you want, okay? So we are adding that garlic powder, and we are gonna just mix it up real well. You'll notice the kitchen is the place where all the loitering happens. So that's what my sister-in-law would say. She always says her dogs loiter, and that's what dogs do, right? So if I'm cooking and I'm in the kitchen and they are not outside or they are not in their kennels, then they are in the kitchen. You know, I say that they're waiting for me to drop something. I think really more than anything, they're just entertained. I think that's really what it is. All right, we're gonna put the potato stuff aside because I wanna get this leftover pasta going in the oven so that it's cooking and heating up while I'm making the potato cakes. So remember the pasta tomato sauce or spaghetti sauce 1-pot dish that I made that was a Frugal Fit Mom dish that had the ground sausage, the ground breakfast sausage that was so good? Well, I made it again, but I did 2 pounds of ground sausage, and then I divided it in half, and in one pot I made an Alfredo sausage one. And then in the other pot, I did the spaghetti sauce, the traditional tomato sauce one. So this is what was left. And what's interesting is everybody loved the Alfredo one. It made a lot. They all talked about how much they loved the Alfredo one. But, and like half of it was eaten that night. But then for the next few days, when people heated up stuff for lunch, they heated up the tomato-based one. So there wasn't as much at the end of the day when it came time to finish this off. There wasn't as much of the red sauce one left because it got eaten with lunches. So, but the same thing, we're going to take it, put it in a casserole dish, and we're just kind of trying to reinvent it a little bit, give it new life, because we don't want it to feel like we're just eating leftovers, the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, I don't care. I can make a big pot of soup and eat it for a week, but we've got other opinions here, right? So I'm not a short order cook, but I do try to, kind of not necessarily even accommodate, but just be thoughtful of that. And they feel like it's something brand new. It's a great way to use leftover spaghetti too. Take your leftover spaghetti and the noodles, mix it all together and just turn it into a casserole, put some cheese on it and pop it in the oven. Like have that a few nights later for dinner instead of just leftover spaghetti. Okay, these are chicken thighs, bone in, skin on. It's the fajita chicken that I made with the fajita seasoning. It needs to be used up. So I dumped those into a 9x13 and I just put all of that stuff in my oven. And I'm just letting it all heat up. Look, everybody's hanging out in the kitchen. I'm just letting it all heat up thoroughly while I fry up these potato cakes. So I'm using my cast iron skillet. You don't have to use a cast iron skillet. You could use your big electric skillet. You could use a stainless steel. It doesn't matter. So put some oil in the bottom. You could use whatever oil you want. I am using olive oil because that is what I always have on hand. And that's what we're using. I've got coconut oil too. That could have worked, but this is what we're doing. So see how those potatoes, when I smush them, they stay together, but they don't stick to my hand. That's the perfect consistency. So if it's not doing that, add a little more flour. Or if it has too much flour in it, then you could add a little bit of milk or water to kind of thin it back out a little bit. So we are going to make even size patties as much as we can because then they're going to all cook at about the same speed and they'll all be done about the same time. And we're just going to place them in the pan. I've got it over a medium heat. You don't want to cook them too high because then the outside is going to burn or get really, really crispy and done and the inside will not be done. So we want to be mindful of that. We're just making these into patties, putting them in there, and in this video, it's going to feel like they cook in 2 minutes, but it takes a little bit of time. And you're going to see at first that I go to flip one and it's not as done as I thought it was. So you can turn your heat up a little bit, but you don't want to cook it too high of heat for the reasons I already said, but also you don't want your oil getting too hot. So it's probably been 5 minutes here and I'm going to try it. Flip it over. That's not the level of doneness that I want. So we're going to wait. Okay, we're going to let it cook just a little bit longer. Now, if you've got oil that's just like flying out of that pan and popping and hitting you, then you need to turn your heat down. Okay, now that's looking better. I like that. All right, I like the way that one looks. And having that cheese in there, it's melting and like holding it all together as well, but it is allowing for the potato cakes to have that crispiness on the outside. The egg plays a little bit of a role in that as well, but the cheese, do you hear? That's my dog. That's the Boston Terrier. She is snorting. That cheese really helps you to get that golden brown kind of crust on these. So it's probably been another 5 minutes. I like that. That looks really good. So we're going to get all of those turned. Again, this would have been really delicious with onions in it. So good. So the one that I just turned, not the one that just kind of fell apart, but the other one that I just turned, that brown, the darker shade of brown that's in there, that's what I want them to look like all over. So you see the one that kind of started to slide and fall apart a little bit when I flipped it over. It's okay. When we flip it back over, it's going to all like just be fine. There you go. Look. So now it's gonna cook on that other side and it's gonna form back together real well. So there's probably, 4 to 5 minutes in between each of these times that I'm flipping. I'm just speeding this up without being too fast here. But you know that they're done when they're nice and crispy and when the inside, you want the inside done as well. And I had a teenager that was just waiting with bated breath to get his hands on one of these. So I went ahead and gave him one. The rest of them, I'm going to let them sit. You could put a paper towel down on that looks beautiful. Look at the crispiness of that. Love it. You could put some paper towel down on your plate so that it kind of absorbs some of that olive oil, but you don't have to. And we're going to let those on the plate sit, and we're going to let those in the skillet finish. And then we will start our next round of the potato cakes because there's enough in there to make, what did it make? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it made 5. So it made 10 total. That was enough potatoes to make 10. If I'd made them a little smaller, I could have got 6 twice. So about 12. So just add a little bit more olive oil and make sure that it's all over the pan. Again, you do not want to cook olive oil too hot. You don't want, if your oil is smoking, you have your heat too high. So turn your heat down, and then you've got the whole situation where it starts to become a trans fat and all of that. So I don't know all the science of it, but just be mindful of that. Okay, there is the pasta. That's the Alfredo pasta. And then we've got that little bit of the red pasta, and I'm trying to figure out like, where am I going to put all this? Where's all of this going? And then that chicken is still down in the oven as well. And we're just heating all of that up. It's already cooked. We just want it to heat thoroughly. There's the chicken. See how some more, it's got the skin on still. So it's like staying moist. It's creating its own oils again, like it's releasing those oils. So that stayed nice and moist and delicious. And there are those potato cakes. They were so good. They were a hit. My husband's friend was over. He even liked them. He said his mom used to make them when he was a kid. So there you go. Some people got chicken, pasta, and potato cake. Some people just got potato. You do what you want to do, right? And grab something else from the fridge to add to it. All right, guys, if you want to. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me. I really love sharing this stuff with you guys. And we will see you in the next video. And leave me a comment below. What are your favorite ways to use up leftovers? We don't want to be throwing stuff away. Right now, when we just need for our dollar to go as far as possible at the grocery store, we need to be using up our leftovers as much as we can. Tell me, what are your favorite ways to use up leftovers? All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.